Children are fragile, Amirjan. Kabul is already full of broken children, and I don't want Sorahab to become another. Rahim Khan, I don't want to go to Kabul. I can't, I said. Sorahab is a gifted little boy. We can give him a new life here, new hope, with people who would love him. Thomas Aga is a good man and Betty Khanum is so kind. You should see how she treats those orphans. Why me? Why can't you pay someone here to go? I'll pay for it if it's a matter of money. It isn't about money, Amir. Rahim Khan roared. I am a dying man, and I will not be insulted. It was never been about money with me. You know that. And why you? I think we both know why it has to be you, don't we? I didn't want to understand that comment, but I did. I understood it all too well. I have a wife in America, a home, a career, and a family. Kabul is a dangerous place, you know that, and you'd have me risk everything for. I stopped. You know, Rahim Khan said, one time when you weren't around, your father and I were talking, and you know how he always worried about you in those days. I remember he said to me, Rahim, a boy who won't stand up for himself becomes a man who can stand up to anything. I wonder, is that what you've become? I dropped my eyes. What I am asking from you is to grant an old man his dying wish, he said gravely. He had glummed with that comment, play his best card, or so I thought then. His words hung in the limbo between us, but at least he'd known what to say. I was still searching for the right words, and I was the writer in the room. Finally, I settled for this. Maybe Baba was right. I'm sorry you think that, Amir. I couldn't look at him. And you don't? If I did, I would have not asked you to come here. I toy with my wedding ring. You've always thought too highly of me, Rahim Khan. And you've always been far too hard on yourself. He hesitated. But there's something else, something you don't know. Please, Rahim Khan. Sanubar wasn't Ali's first wife. Now I look up. He was married once before to a Hazara woman from the Gahori area. This was long before you were born. They were married for 3 years. What does this have to do with anything? She left him childless after 3 years and married a man in Coast. She bore him 3 daughters. That's what I am trying to tell you. I began to see where he was going, but I didn't want to hear the rest of it. I had a good life in California, pretty Victorian home with a peaked roof, a good marriage, a promising writing career, in-laws who loved me. I didn't need any of this shit. Ali was sterile, Rahim Khan said. No, he wasn't. He and Sanubar had Hassan, didn't they? They had Hassan. No, they didn't, Rahim Khan said. Yes, they did. No, they didn't, Amir. Then who? I think you know who. I felt like a man sliding down a steep cliff, clutching at sharp and tangles of brambles and coming up empty-handed. The room was swapping up and down, swaying side to side. Did Hassan know? I said through lips that didn't feel like my own. Rahim Khan closed his eyes, shook his head. You bastards, I muttered, stood up. You good man bastards, I screamed. All of you, you bunch of lying goddamn bastards. Please sit down, Rahim Khan said. How could you hide this from me, from him? I bellowed. Please think, Amirjan. It was a shameful situation. People would talk. All that a man had back then. All that he was his honor, his name, and if people talk. We couldn't tell anyone. Surely you can see that. He reached for me, but I shoved his hand, headed for the door. Amirjan, please don't leave. I opened the door and turned to him. Why? What can you possibly say to me? I am 38 years old and I've just found out my whole life is one big fucking lie. What can you possibly say to make things better? Nothing, not a goddamn thing. And with that, I stormed out of the apartment. Chapter 18. The sun had almost set and left the sky swathed in smothers of purple and red. I walked down the busy, narrow street that led away from Rahim Khan's building. The street was a noisy lane in a maze of alleyways, choked with pedestrians, bicycles, and rickshaws. Billboards hung at its corners advertising Coca-Cola and cigarettes. Lollywood movie posters displayed slaughtery actresses dancing with handsome, broken-skinned men in files of marigolds. I walked into a smoky little samovar house and ordered a cup of tea. I tattled back on the folding chair's rear legs and rubbed my face. That feeling of sliding toward a fall was fading, but in it instead, I felt like a man who's a witness in his own house and finds all the furniture rearranged, so that every familiar nook and cranny looks foreign now. Disoriented, he was to reevaluate his surroundings, reoriented himself. How could I have been so blind? The signs had been there for me to see all along. They came flying back at me now. Baba hiring Dr. Kumar to fixing Hassan's Harley. Baba never missing Hassan's birthday. I remember the day we were planting tulips when I had asked Baba if he'd ever consider getting new servants. Hassan's not going anywhere. He'd break it. He's staying right where with us where he belongs. This is his home and we are his family. He had wept when Ali announced he and Hassan were leaving us. The waiter placed a teacup on the table before me, where the table's legs crossed like an X. There was a ring of brass balls, each walnut-sized. One of the balls had come unscrewed. I stopped and tightened it. I wish I could fix my own life as easily. I took a gulp of the black tea I have in years and tried to think of Soraya, of the general and Khala Jamila, of the novel that needed finishing. I tried to watch the traffic blotting by one of the streets, the people milling in and out of the title sweet shops, tried to listen to the quality music playing on the stranger's radio at the next table. Anything, but I kept seeing Baba on the night of my graduation, sitting in the fort he just gave me, smelling of beer and saying I wish Hassan had been with us today. How could he have lied to me all those years? To Hassan? He had sat me on his lap when I was little, looked me straight in the eyes, and said there is only one sin, and that is theft. When you tell a lie, you steal someone's right to the truth. Hadn't he said those words to me? And now, 15 years after I buried him, I was learning that Baba had been a thief. And a thief of the worst kind, because the things he stolen had been scared. From me, the right to know I had a brother, from Hassan his identity, and from Ali his honor, his namus. The question kept coming at me. How had Baba brought himself to look Ali in the eye? How had Ali lived in that house day in and day out, knowing he had been dishonored by his master in the single worst way an Afghan man can be dishonored? And how was I going to reconcile this new image of Baba with the one that had been imprinted on my mind for so long? That of him in his old brown suit hobbling up the terrace driveway to ask for Soraya's hand. Here is another cliche my creative writing teacher will have scoffed at. Like father, like son. But it was true, wasn't it? As it turned out, Baba and I were more alike than I'd never known. We had both betrayed the people who would have given their lives for us. And with that came this realization that Rahim Khan had summoned me here to atone not just for my sins but for Baba's too. Rahim Khan says I've always been too hard on myself, but I wonder it true. I hadn't made Ali step on the landmine, and I hadn't brought the Taliban to the house to shoot Hassan, but I had driven Hassan and Ali out of the house. Was it too far-fetched to imagine that things might have turned out differently if I hadn't? Maybe Baba would have brought them along to America. Maybe Hassan would have had a home of his own now, a job, a family, a life in a country where no one cared that he was a Hazara, where most people didn't even know what a Hazara was. Maybe not, but maybe so. I can go to Kabul. I have said to Rahim Khan, I have a wife in America, a home, a career, and a family. But how could I pack up and go back home when my actions may have cost Hassan a chance at those very same things? I wish Rahim Khan hadn't called me. I wish he hadn't let me live on in my oblivion. But he had called me, and what Rahim Khan revealed to me changed things, made me see how my entire life, long before the winter of 1975, dating back to when that signing Hazara woman was still nursing me, had been a cycle of lies, betrayals, and secrets. There is a way to be God again, he said. A way to end the cycle. With a little boy, an orphan Hassan's son, somewhere in Kabul. The rickshaw ride back to Rahim Khan's apartment. I remember Papa saying that my problem was that someone had always done my fighting for me. I was 38 now. My hair was receding and streaked with gray, and lately a short little crossfit etched around the corners of my eyes. I was older now, but maybe not yet too old to start doing my own fighting. Baba had lied about a lot of things, as I turned out, but he hadn't lied about that. I looked at the round face in the Polaroid again, the way the sun fell on it. My brother's face. Hassan had loved me once, loved me in a way that no one ever had or ever will again. He was gone now, but a little part of me lived on. It was in Kabul, waiting. I found Rahim Khan praying namaz in a corner of the room. He was just a darker silhouette bowing eastward against a blue-red sky. I waited for him to finish. Then I told him I was going to Kabul, told him to call the Caldwells in the morning. I'll pray for you, Amirjan, he said.